No, you wild card, baby. Wild card week. It's crazy.
Why is it a wild card week?
You just got people negotiating deals, raising tariffs, lowering tariffs, isolating countries, markets up, down, basis trades blowing up. Our pets' heads are falling off. Are you guys having fun yet?
Yes. It's a crazy week.
We're joined by Awayslice.
Howdy.
Welcome, Josh. Josh is the man behind beefsteak and ride or die freak.
Ride or die.
Matt, I'll let you set up the context for how this came to be. You two got in a little back and forth on Noster.
The context is I asked the freaks on Noster what we should talk about this week because nothing really happened. And I got 60 plus replies, which is pretty badass. So shout out to all the freaks who participated in that little thought experiment. But one of them was Josh, and he said that he was capable of taking over the show. And he could replace us.
That's not what I said. I was trying to say.
Why don't you read it? Why don't you read it verbatim? What you said? Do you have it up?
Marty, I don't have it up. Marty,
Marty's our official reader on the show. Marty, why don't you read it?
Replying to Odell, an idea. Number one, discuss at what point it is okay. Is it okay to completely crowdsource talking points? And two, segue into the outside possibility that we could do the talking too. Drop in the notion that even Awayslice could probably do it, and I'll take over next week. You can keep 10% of the ad revenue ad infinitum.
Okay, so what I was trying to do was be nice about calling you out for being lazy.
I wasn't being lazy. I was just asking the freaks what we should talk about.
I'm glad. Josh, this is a media business. You got to drive attention.
That's true.
You got to pump
you were
people
just
up.
Working smarter. Yeah, you
That's
were working smarter. That's what. Yeah.
That's a live stream lead generator. You send that note out there. It's like, hey, reminding you we're going to be live. Maybe you should be on the lookout for the live.
And look,
stream.
and now we got a special guest host. The other piece is what was lost in all the noise of this week is the truly breaking news, which is that Josh will not be doing a beefsteak in Vegas this year, which is the first Bitcoin Magazine conference without a beefsteak in years. Ever?
Ever. Can I ask a question? That's really only an announcement you would see if you were on Twitter. Are you on Twitter?
People send me things.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's the first time that I've not done a beefsteak at the Bitcoin conference, at the Bitcoin Magazine Bitcoin conference. A little bit like, what do you guys think about Vegas as a place to have a conference? I have like a soft spot in Vegas, but it doesn't feel right. It's not like when I hear Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas, I'm not like, hell yeah. Something about it. I don't know.
I've never been to Vegas. I've always just naturally been sort of averse to Vegas, the degenerate. Logan's telling me he's not going. Logan, I was planning on you going to help with some of the stuff. It seems like he's not going.
Logan doesn't know he's going.
Logan, you may be going, sir. Paid for by TFTC, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, I've always been. Vegas has never really appealed to me, and it is a juxtaposition. Bitcoin's supposed to be this low time preference, risk averse, sort of conservative.
Maybe we should just embrace the dichotomy there, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just go out on a whim and say I fucking hate Vegas as a city. It is incredibly depressing, in my opinion.
You've been?
But, yeah, I've been twice. But I would say that I understand why they chose it. I mean, the two main reasons they chose it was hotels and flights and venue access, right? And if you look at what are the most popular conference centers in the country, it's Vegas, Nashville, Miami, I think is the order in terms of how many conferences are held, how many people attend a conference at their main conference center. So
and I'll say,
it makes sense to me. It's easy Asian access too. Like that was a big negative for Nashville, Miami was that the Asian Bitcoiners had trouble getting there. and there's a lot of direct flights to Vegas.
You got to accommodate the Asians, you know. You got to put it on the left side of the country.
But Josh, I mean, I like your reasoning for not doing it, which is you've always done. To me, beefsteaks have always been the best Bitcoin events. Period. The joke was always that the conference was a side event for the beefsteak, and part of the reason why beefsteaks are the best event is because you do try and make them accessible and good value and well worth people's time. Right? Time is ultimately the most scarce thing. So, yeah. I mean, my understanding is you couldn't find a venue that was both banging and affordable.
Yeah.
Which makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the gist of it for sure. There were some cool, like, there's some places that were just like awesome. And I was just waiting for those price quotes to come in. And then they started rolling in. They come in at like $70K for one night. Like, that's insane. You know? It doesn't include anything, though. It does. Though weirdly, it does. What it did include was like $2,000 worth of chips, a $3,000 dinner credit, and I'm like, can you just not give me that stuff and take $5,000 off the bill? And they're like, nope.
Because they want you to spend more money.
Yeah, they want you to be there like high rolling. And I honestly, I was like, you know, I could be a high roller for a day.
But those kind of chips.
For it. Yeah. Not potato chips.
I thought they were giving you like tortilla chips.
Like a truckload of tortilla chips.
I was like, don't they know this is a carnivore event? Like, we don't eat tortilla chips.
Yeah. I mean, 2019. I'm having flashbacks. 2019 Bitcoin conference, beefsteak
on CK's roof.
CK's roof. That was. Did he charge you $70K?
35 people.
Yeah. No, he did not charge me $70K.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, those are the days. I can't believe that.
He didn't charge you anything for that, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, we didn't. I think tickets to that beefsteak were like $80 or something.
Those were the days.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
It's still like learning the ropes, but that was fun. That was a fun one.
But I mean, in Sats, they probably stayed relatively consistent because Bitcoin was like $13,000. I remember I told everyone to buy the top, and we stayed under for like 2 years after that.
Yeah, your guys' rooftop Par Jam live RHR that week. That was pretty fun. You know, what's interesting? What's as interesting about that beefsteak is who's stuck around as the people that have disappeared. Like, I don't want to name names, but it's just interesting to see who's like gone by the wayside over that time.
Because there weren't that many of us.
I'm thinking one individual that I think was there.
It was like 35 people, right?
Yeah.
2019.
Yeah, some people just disappeared. Some people like Gary Leland was there.
He brought his daughter. He brought his daughter.
Block Boom last week. Gary's still around. He had a conference last weekend. I spoke there.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you guys go to? How was it?
It was good. Awesome. I was time constrained and it was in Dallas, so I literally drove up to Dallas from Austin Saturday afternoon, gave my presentation, hung around for a couple hours, caught up with Madex and a few others, and then bounced back to Austin. But the vibes were high, Gotcha. Very well attended, high signal crew people. Gary,
cool. Oh, it's a good event.
Great job. Yeah.
Least surprising news ever.
Well, I got one more airing of the grievance of Vegas. I'm somewhat excited. Like, I've never been to Vegas. I'll check it off the list. Like, all right, I saw it. But Memorial Day week, like starting the conference the day after Memorial Day. That's my bigger grievance. It's like, come on. But
I didn't even realize. Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even realize that.
The actual
that's a bummer.
Wait, the conference is a Tuesday?
I think like the
industry day or whatever.
Yeah. And I'm going to be there. I'm going to be speaking. I love the Bitcoin Magazine people and the conference. It's always been fun. It is definitely a spectacle, but if we're airing grievances here.
Ross will be speaking.
Albrecht?
In person?
According to Marks, is it going to be in person? He's in the Nostra live chat. By the way, Mav21 zapped us 21,000 sats, and so did Soap Miner. So shout out to you freaks. Thank you.
Mav21 wants you all to know that it feels good to zap from Phoenix.
It was spoiler alert. That's on the list.
What is?
It sounds like Phoenix coming back to the United States.
Oh, I thought he was talking about the city,
Back
not the
in
app.
stores.
Massive
news.
I thought he was zapping from Phoenix, Arizona.
A lot of misunderstandings in this early period of this show. Ross will be speaking in person. Obviously, Trump is coming back, I think, right? Didn't they announce that? I think Trump's going to have like a massive rally there in addition to the conference. It should be a very historic event, I think.
Yeah.
And I love those guys. I think that team does a great job. So pretty
It's
excited
awesome.
to see
I
what
mean,
they have in store for
it's an
us.
awesome event. Yeah.
Anybody from
No
the
question.
team listening, we're just airing grievances right now. I'm going to be there. I'm very excited to go, but just a little airing of the grievances.
Yeah, my grievance is not with the conference or Bitcoin Magazine or anything. It's just with the city itself.
Fuck the city of Vegas. I'm looking at you, Hodl.
Hey, really quickly, you said Soap Miner. Have you guys tried the soap from Soap Miner yet?
He hasn't said
It's
it.
great.
I'm holding out.
It's the main soap I use in my house.
It's awesome. I legit just took a shower because I was like, should I shower for a podcast? I did. But probably didn't need to. I could have just wet my hair.
First shower all week.
I didn't shower today, and I just went on an hour-long walk throughout the city. It's 85 degrees. I'm wearing jeans, boots, and I'm sweating. So I don't know if you guys can smell me through the camera, but it's not good. Logan puts up with a lot in the studio.
It's with the door closed. It's musky.
It gets warm in here too. Logan, how you feel?
I'm like sitting under the vent, so I'm getting the AC blast. That's why I have a hoodie on.
That's good. Maybe it's keeping the smells away from you too. I hope so. Speaking of smells, let's take a sniff of the Bitcoin network and see what's going on right now. The current price of Bitcoin is 79,350 cuck bucks. One cuck buck's going to get you 1,260 sats. We're sitting at a $1.57 trillion market cap. We were at block height 891,811, which means we had a difficulty adjustment. Yes, between last week's episode and this week's episode, a large adjustment, up 6.8%. Currently 1,277 blocks away from the next adjustment, estimated to be on April 19th, 2025. Looking like a negative adjustment of 0.9% right now. Block's been coming in at 10 minutes and 5 seconds on average. Mempools empty. 9,313 transactions in Clark's mempool. 4 sats per V-byte on mempool. Clark's showing 2. Clark.
Wow, it's busy out there.
It is.
So much mempool activity.
Mempools are clearing every day. Always and eventually. Eventually, always.
Wait, Trump issued an executive order to make showers great again?
Yeah, this is incredible. You didn't hear this? We're bringing back the good shower pressure.
Great priorities.
It is a great priority, you know?
Who is stopping you from getting good shower pressure?
Obama and Biden with their...
Does everyone not
regulations.
automatically remove the little washer things that just fuck with your showers?
Most people don't know. Most people don't know. We're not.
Did you ever see the Seinfeld where Kramer was selling the illegal shower heads?
Yes.
No.
It's such a good episode.
Best shower.
It's like
best shower in the country. Union League of Philadelphia, downtown. Best water pressure in the country. You can only if you have to go and check it out for yourself. Best shower, best pressure in the country.
Seriously, people, like if you're not doing this, the first thing you do when you move into a new place is you either straight up replace the shower heads, or you unscrew the existing shower heads and remove the little washers that they have in them that limit your shower pressure.
Well, my problem with shower pressure these days is like my wife has become maniacally obsessed with all the chemicals in our water. So we have like one of those filters.
You got to get the whole home filter, Marty.
Yeah, I know. Got to get on
The
that.
little Amazon like shower head filter, I don't know how effective they are with like little beads in them.
They are effective here in Austin. You can tell the difference because what do they call it? Soft water, hard water. There's difference in water
Yeah.
types, and
Yeah.
the women notice it. And I guess we have soft water here. And when she would wash her hair, she'd be like, "There's something wrong with the water." And we put the filter in.
The women
fix
can tell the
problem.
difference.
Yeah.
I mean, in Nashville, it's really bad because they put heavy chlorine in the water. But yeah, that's also, I mean, if you own your house, that's a good hack is just like go out, pay like $3,000 for a whole home carbon filter. And then all your showers are nice and filtered. And even your toilets are filtered in that situation, which is great, just in case the dog drinks out of them.
Are we slowly
Does that
turning
mess with
into
your water pressure at all?
Not really. Not as much as the little washers and the shower heads do.
Yeah.
freaks? This is now a home improvement podcast. Bitcoin
I mean,
set on its way.
I
We're
do
here
have to
talk
say
home
that
improvements.
really a real water pressure, like if you have good water pressure, the water does the exfoliating. You don't need a special sponge. It should be like
Yeah,
near pressure washing.
Are we?
I agree.
Are we bar soap people or body wash people?
And I also think it should get hot enough to burn you. Like you shouldn't be able to go full hot.
I'm a bar of soap guy. The real question is, are you a wash rag person or do you go direct to the body with the soap?
Wait, what was the?
Option.
Do you
Do you
do you use a
apply
rag?
soap to a wash rag and then use a wash rag, or do you
No, there's
use
soap
soap?
to skin. So like, I brought up the question because if you're a body wash person, you're disgusting. Bar soap all the way, just straight to the body. The washcloths. For the kids, I'll get the washcloth out, not for myself.
I agree.
But why is
I'm
that? Why
glad-
do we use
I'm
it
glad
for
we
kids?
covered the
Because I
important
feel
stuff.
like I remember my parents used one on me, but then I just didn't ever use one on myself. And they didn't. I don't think they use one on themselves, but maybe they do. I don't know.
I don't use a washcloth with my son anymore. I just
My parents
use
use
my
a
hands.
my parents use a washcloth to do the dishes, and it is like the most frustrating thing I've
Is
ever
that just
seen.
an old person thing?
Yeah, I don't. It's like doesn't. It's totally ineffective. Takes like 4 times as long.
Interesting.
Sink water pressure.
Do they use a
not totally
dishwasher, or do they
real.
only do sink washing?
No, they use it for pots and pans. They have a dishwasher.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
flawed at best. Okay,
I mean, I
sorry-
guess
sorry.
this goes hand in hand with Trump's other executive order on the sunsetting of regulation, right?
Yeah, EPA. DOE.
I mean, I think the make showers great again is just a hilarious name for an executive order and a narrative win because water pressure is a priority. But the sunsetting of the regulation stuff is fantastic, in my opinion. I feel like that's been underreported.
What has been?
So what it's like energy related regulation, he's not like necessarily cutting the regulations, but it's just there has to be a sunset clause, right? So they have to constantly renew them rather than just like keep adding on top.
Yeah. No, it's
That's
very
how it should
important.
be.
Yeah, and I mean, it ties into a bunch of other stuff we're going to talk about with the. I think it's important. I'll just before I'm mixing too many topics together. I think it's important to do this because I think one of the burdens. I just had a conversation with Tom Luongo, and part of the discussion really honed in on this topic of overregulation, creating this burdensome drag on the economy where it's either too expensive or just literally impossible to do things that could increase the productivity and of companies and individuals in the economy. And if we're going to go through this drastic economic policy shift, it's important that we take away as many regulations as possible to make it easy for people to build businesses and pay their workers without having to worry about overburdensome compliance costs.
Damn right. Huge shout out to the commoner, 42,000 sats, incentives, baby, all caps.
Hell yeah. 42,200 sats. Or excuse me, in 2 sats. 20 sats. 0.02. It's 20.
And that's why I said 42,000 sats.
I think it's 42,020 sats.
42.02K sats.
Yeah. Reading decimals on air.
Oh, it's 42,024 sats.
24. Okay. A little palindrome boost. A little palindrome zap. There we go. All right, let's get to the list. A lot going on this week. We'll start with news that is pertinent to Bitcoin directly, which is the fact that the U.S. Justice Department has ended its crypto enforcement unit and regulation by prosecution, most notably, as is being reported by The Rage, our friend Lola Leitz.
Wait, no, you're jumping ahead.
Oh, I'm jumping ahead.
The memo specifically is fucking really big news, in my opinion. So a year ago, a little over a year ago, the Samurai Wallet developers got arrested. And a little bit before that, the Tornado Cash developers got arrested. And I think it's easy for us to like all get lost in the weeds, but we've made insane progress over the last year. So open source developers were getting arrested for self-custody software, particularly software that helped with financial privacy. And it was through this policy of basically the past administrations. They called it regulation by enforcement. So the DOJ would basically throw people in jail instead of making clear regulation. Both these parties, both Tornado Cash and Samurai Wallet, attempted to be very proactive about it and law-abiding. But the way that they were responded to was just by throwing them in a cell. So they specifically say in here, I'm looking for the exact quote.
You can't control F this document, unfortunately.
It's a PDF. The exact quote, I think, is important to read out. I'll have it in a second. Because it's kind of unreal that this is what we're seeing from the U.S. government right now, especially since in Europe it just keeps getting worse. And I think it's important for us to appreciate our wins. Okay, so they said the Department of Justice is not a digital assets regulator. However, the prior administration used the Justice Department to pursue a reckless strategy of regulation by prosecution, which was ill-conceived and poorly executed. And then a little bit further down in the document, it says, specifically, the department will no longer target virtual currency exchanges, mixing and tumbling services, and offline wallets for the acts of their end users or unwitting violations of regulations. That seems massive to me.
I mean, this is something we've been beating the drum about throughout the history of this podcast, which is you don't attack the tools that the criminals are using. You get better law enforcement to actually prevent the criminals from doing crime in the first place.
Exactly. It's a return to sanity. Now, I put the Rage article there because Lola is one of our best skeptics and critics. And so she has an article there that people can read through that is, this is not a panacea. This is not like the most perfect thing in the world. And yeah, I mean, there's obviously truth to it. Like they've left some things very vague and they can choose when and how they want to, prosecute people. And usually anything that is vague is a hallmark of a predatory government, right? Because they pick and choose when they want to enforce things. And there's a lack of certainty in terms of how things will be enforced. That's all that said, this is unequivocally a massive win. It is the single biggest win of the year alongside Ross being free. And I think people should really appreciate it because if you go back, like I said, if you go back less than a year ago when the Samurai developers were put in jail and Phoenix Wallet left the US because they were fearing serving U.S. customers with their Lightning wallet, their mobile Lightning wallet, to today, the amount of progress we've made is substantial. And I don't think anyone could have expected the amount of progress we've made. And we still need to keep the foot on the gas. We still need to keep pushing, but God,
I agree with you.
fucking
Here's my
massive.
question. Here's my question for you, Matt. Like, who comes back? Like, imagine the samurai guys get released tomorrow or dismissed, or I don't know if they're in custody right now, but like, do they
Home
just
arrest.
fire it
They're
all
under
back
house
up?
arrest. What?
But like, do people come out like what? Who's going to be the first brave person to start rolling back the precautions they've taken to steer clear of these laws? Like, is wasabi going to start mixing in the States again? If those
Well, so
samurai guys
wasabi.
come out,
So
yeah.
okay, a couple of things here. First of all, Marty, did you got your own Madex pendant? Is that what happened over there?
Yeah, I saw yours on. I got to put it on, and it's not working out well. Logan, do you want to come help?
Which one did you buy?
I got the Atlas Shrugged one.
I don't have one. I'm
Nice.
jealous, guys.
I
saw
have the
him
bull.
recently,
Marty
too.
has the Atlas Shrugged one. Anyway, Marty, good to see you see you on the team. Madex.art, one of the best artists in the space. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. First of all, Wasabi made a different move. So what Wasabi did was they shuttered their for-profit business, CK Snacks, and they switched into just a standard open source project model where anyone could run a coordinator, and the coordinators are not paid, so they don't get a fee from transactions. Right now, the largest Wasabi coordinator is run by this NIM named Crew, KRUW. And basically, when you launch Wasabi for the first time, it asks you which coordinator you want to choose from. And he takes 0% fee. So technically, Wasabi never stopped doing coin joins. They just kind of changed the structure. They were no longer a for-profit entity, and instead it's like a volunteer-based thing. On the Samurai side, Samurai's also was built on an open source project. There is a project called Ashigaru, which continued where Samurai left off, and provides an open source mobile wallet and node backend for that stack. Now, it does not have Whirlpool. It does not have the coin join aspects, and it no longer has the ability to use it without a node. You have to run the node at home yourself or have a friend run it or something like that. Now, to the Samurai guys specifically and to Tornado Cash, their cases are still going on. This memo doesn't like automatically release them from their court cases. It does, I think, should give people a sense of optimism. I mean, I think they still need money for their legal defense, which you can help support at p2prights.org. But it gives me personally a lot of optimism on how that case will turn out. Now, if there's a settlement or something, there could be a settlement that says that, Samurai can't run a business again after this. Now, knowing those guys, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't agree to a settlement that doesn't let them run their business again. They're quite stubborn and passionate, sometimes to a fault, but I wouldn't be surprised if they wouldn't agree to that type of settlement. But yeah, I think that's up in the air if someone's going to do that. But I would say that something like Phoenix Wallet, right, which was concerned that their LSP model that's not specifically designed to provide privacy, right? Like, they're just opening channels for users, fell under this type of enforcement action. They've already realized that they're probably in the clear at this point and have already relaunched in US app stores after being gone for a year. So I think that's like the first signs of it. We'll see how it plays out. Ultimately, the big concern here for anyone trying to build these things is you're never going to have a lawyer tell you you're absolutely in the clear, because a lot of this shit is very vague. So it's going to come down to people taking risks. I will say that in both the Wasabi case and the Samurai case and the Tornado Cash case, that business model was a quite profitable business model. So there is a profit incentive for people to do it.
Yeah, people should be able to do it. It's just Bitcoin transactions. You should have the right to privacy. It should be inherent, inalienable rights to be able to use money privately, and due to the nature of Bitcoin's common input heuristics, tools like CoinJoin are important, CoinJoin wallets. And not only that, but I think if anything, this should really light the fire under the ass of the industry to implement things like PayJoin, where we don't even have to have this discussion about individual wallet companies spinning up these coordinators. Every spend should be a CoinJoin by enabling PayJoin wherever you can. And Matt, if I believe I have access to your calendar, I think you're having a discussion about this on Citadel Dispatch soon.
Yes, tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Did I ruin that? Were you trying to keep that
No,
close
that
to
was
the
good.
chest?
Tomorrow at 1600 UTC, I'm going to have Dan Gould, who maintains PayJoin Dev Kit on Citadel Dispatch. You can find all the links at citadeldispatch.com. But yeah, incredibly bullish on PayJoin and what they're working on over there.
Yeah.
Do PayJoin wallets, I don't know much about PayJoins. Do PayJoin wallets profit from PayJoins? I like the idea of like a wallet that profits from existing because it just feels a little bit more robust in a different way.
It doesn't
Like they're just going to be
profit directly from the transaction. Like they're not taking fees from the transaction, but it does increase profit margin because I believe so with Taproot specifically because it creates efficiencies on the fees.
No, it's two different things, right? So like what Josh is saying is like, does the wallet maintainer make money off of PayJoin? And the
Yeah.
answer is no, right? That was one of the cool things about Samurai and Wasabi was that it was like the first time that we saw self-custody open source wallets with a built-in business model that was effective. So it doesn't do that, but there is, if mempools are busy and block space is scarce, users can have significant fee savings. And in the current PayJoin implementation, my understanding is there's actually a very strong incentive for large transactors like exchanges and brokerages to offer it for withdrawals and deposits because they have massive on-chain fee burden. And so that they can offer it in a way that you can have situations where, like, if I'm depositing to Strike and someone else is withdrawing to Strike, that same transaction pays out the withdrawer without it having to go into like an exchange's hot wallet setup. So you skip a whole transaction in that situation.
Yeah, so it just increases your margin, makes more efficient, makes your revenue streams more efficient, if you will.
Yeah, there is the point is there's a profit incentive there, which is great. It's just not for the wallet developer.
Yeah.
And I think for the longest time, PayJoin's biggest hurdle that they had to overcome in the original implementation was you needed the receiver to have an online always server. And I think PayJoin Development Kit has worked to make it so you can do this offline, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well.
Yeah, which would be massive for adoption. Every exchange out there.
But we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah. Take anybody running an exchange out there. Think about it. Brian Armstrong. I know you watch this podcast.
I still don't think. I think it's important for people to realize that PayJoin and CoinJoin, I think, are complementary. It's not one competing with the other. I think they try and accomplish different things. The cool part about PayJoin is that it's not necessarily obvious on chain that you did a PayJoin. So we can end up in a situation where if like 10 or 20% of all Bitcoin transactions are PayJoin transactions, most transactions you wouldn't be able to assume that they aren't a PayJoin transaction. You just wouldn't really know. The issue with that is there is probably like a hurdle point in the beginning where we've seen people get prosecuted for bad chain surveillance data, right? It's just like bad analysis. And PayJoin could exacerbate that in the beginning adoption phase and make it worse. And then the negative of CoinJoin is it's very obvious on chain. You look at the on-chain transaction and you can tell a CoinJoin happened. You see multiple parties all doing a collaborative transaction together with multiple outputs and multiple inputs. But that's also the benefit. I like to think of it almost like encrypted messaging. Like with encrypted messaging, someone sent an encrypted message. You just don't know what the contents are. So there's something to be said about that being a positive as well. That it's like very clear, I did a coin join and now probability analysis is broken if you're trying to track this transaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like we've got some space to actually operate here. So any builders out there, get out there and build while we have this air cover. Let's get it
Yeah,
done.
I mean,
Let's make it too big and too widely adopted to turn back the tides if somebody else gets in office 4 years from now.
I think like 1 month in Bitcoin sometimes feels like a decade. And I think 1 month under Trump also kind of feels like a decade. So if you compound them together, it's like 1 month under Trump with Bitcoin is like a century. So let's just take advantage of all the time we have, and just push forward as like, we have to accelerate. And
it's a good segue into the next topic, which is what we discussed last week. But things have accelerated. Stocks, bonds, markets going crazy. People's pets' heads are falling off as Trump's tariff. They got out of control this week. Tuesday. Boom. Everybody's tariffed. Or it happened last week, Liberation Day, April 2nd. Everybody's tariffed. You had that wonky calculation, which at the time when we discussed it last week was unshort. That was the calculation. They were just taking the deficits and dividing by 2. And that's your tariff rate. Trump-backed markets did not like that. Tuesday they were crashing. And then Trump came out and said, you know what? Anybody didn't retaliate after our Rose Garden speech last week, we're going to give you a 90-day reprieve during which you have 10% tariffs. Anybody that did retaliate, we're not going to negotiate with you. And so pinpointed China. China.
It was literally just China.
Your tariffs went from 104% to 125%. You better get to the table. So markets screamed. Things were going crazy. At one point Tuesday night, 10-year and 30-year bond yields were screaming higher.
Well, that was before that.
That was right before that, yes.
You're out of order. Yeah.
Wednesday, all what I just said happened, but many people are surmising it's because Tuesday night bond yields went crazy. Many people were speculating that there were multi-strat hedge funds like Citadel, Millennium, Point72 that were engaged in this treasury arbitrage basis trade that were blowing up and being forced to sell their treasuries to get cash. So yeah, we live.
Wasn't there speculation that like Japan or China was also dumping treasuries?
Yeah,
on the market as like a.
It's hard to know exactly what was going on, but I am partial towards the basis trade because of the way that yields were moving, and when you consider the amount of leverage that these hedge funds have on this trade specifically, I mean, I believe there was public data in 2023. At that point, they were 20x leverage on this trade, and many people are pretty convinced that the leverage only went up from there. Some people are saying potentially like 100x leverage on this trade, and when you consider the time of day that was happening and the way in which it was happening, it was forced selling. So if you're like Japan or China selling treasuries, if you don't need the cash right away, like you wouldn't take on that slippage that was being.
Well, you would do it if it was part of like a war.
Yeah. Are we in a war? Is this World War III? Cold War?
I mean, hold on. I think
yeah. Well, Josh,
we should take this opportunity we should take this opportunity and make a prediction. I shouldn't. You guys should. Like what?
Okay.
What in 3 months or even 2 months are there going to be tariffs? Like, you think they'll stick at 10%? You think he'll roll them back? Like, is all of this a ploy to kind of just get people's attention and then or shock people into changing their behavior a little bit, or like, what is the end game? Like,
well,
I will be surprised. To me, it feels a little bit like a tactical, like giving everybody a little bit of a shove and being like, like we kind of been nice to you for a while, and we don't really have to be nice to you. And like whether or not that's a good thing, I do not know. I'm not sure that in my mind, it doesn't jive with like, I think the free market is a good thing. I think the free market can kind of like solve problems on its own, hopefully. And tariffs is not a free market. Um, I don't know. You guys have any thoughts there?
I think it's a big part of the deal. I think, but
Yeah,
and
well,
I
that's
agree with you. I don't think tariffs
again.
are free market either, but I think if we're being objective, like we're being tariffed, and I think that's the whole.
Yeah,
Trump's been beating this drum for 4 decades too. Like we're getting the shit end of the stick on a lot of these trade deals, and there's been a bunch of videos of Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer in the 90s crying about this problem. So it's been a well-known problem, the imbalance of tariffs that exists between the United States and its trade partners for decades now. That's what I think it's like. We're going to even the playing. So when you talk about like free markets, like in my mind, if it's just reciprocal 1-to-1, you're going to tariff us 10%, we're going to tariff you 10%. That sort of creates like a level playing field and sort of
but
negates the
that
idea
only,
you should get to
but
the
that's
table.
only a level playing field if we are importing and exporting
Hmm.
equal amounts, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that it's a complicated equation in a lot of ways. Um, Also, having a global market is like an incentive. We're so spoiled by peace. Americans are spoiled by peace. Like we're very fortunate to not have had war where we live for generations. And even though a lot of like our citizens have participated in fighting different wars that were and weren't necessary, like I don't know. I think a global economy is an incentive towards peace, and that's peace is also a good thing. Not to
I,
change the subject.
I agree. And I think the big problem is the US dollar. Like we have this part of the problem is the dollar system, the way it operates. It sort of forces these relationships in a certain way. If you had let's just think hypothetically, if you had a apolitical, neutral reserve asset that operated on a peer-to-peer distributed system that nobody could control, like it would make sense to use that as a Schelling point and a network from which to do this international trade instead of having this weird fiat system where
Yeah, I mean,
the issuer
I
has
think
undue control and influence.
yeah, I think that should be people's key takeaway. I don't know, Marty, if you saw what I titled this episode,
I did not.
um, but
Trump's Bitcoin trumps
I was
tariffs. Oh, I
I was
like
quite
this.
proud of it
I like this one.
because it makes sense and it's also it's a good engagement bait algo hit. I hit all three keywords and it's actually a sentence. Um, the the Bitcoin is the only free market. And specifically proof of work, Bitcoin mining, where anyone can just plug in hash power and connect it to power and connect it to internet and be able to compete for Bitcoin without permission, is the only truly free market we have in the world. Everything else is just dreaming of free markets. And the problem is you have people in the middle. And if as long as you have people in the middle, they'll never be truly free because people are corrupted and people have their own incentives. So under that guise, I think you're going to always end up in some level of trade war. And the question is if that trade war is going to be a cold or a hot war. And I think over the last few decades, we've kind of been in a cold trade war, and now it's more of a hot trade war. I mean, the tariffs that are being levied against China and back at us are incredibly high. I think Trump might have raised it to 100. You like can't keep track. I think he might have raised it to 145% right before he went on air. But just to nail down on this, like Bitcoin was trading at $75,000. And then all of a sudden on Nostr yesterday, I just see Rectbot going crazy. Like people that were short were just losing money. And I was like, wait, what the fuck's going on? And then I checked the price of Bitcoin and it was up a bunch. And then what was the next thing I did? The next thing I did was I went to Trump's Truth Social account, which is mirrored to Nostr. And sure enough, 9 minutes earlier, there was a post from Trump saying, we're going to pause all tariffs except for China. Fuck China. And China we're raising tariffs on. or we're going to level it at 10%, right? We're going to lower everyone to this baseline 10% tariff, pause it for 90 days, and increase the tariffs on China. And the S&P 500 proceeded to go up. I think the high watermark was 11% off of that one Truth Social post. And I think it's a massive wake-up call for people that everyone's like, oh, we have these mature, the best financial markets we ever had in the world. And at the end of the day, like a Truth Social post can move it like a fucking shitcoin. Like, is there a difference between the Luna guy saying steady lads, deploying more capital, and the president of the United States sending it out a Truth Social post? To me, those two worlds have completely melded together. And like, that's the world we're living in. And the only truth that you have is sats and cold storage. Like, the only thing that you actually have that can't be fucked with by someone else is Bitcoin and cold storage.
Yeah. And what's funny, before the Truth Social post about him putting this 90-day break on tariffs and isolating China, like literally 10 minutes before that, he sent out a post that was like, great time to buy.
No, it was I think it was a couple hours. It was a couple hours. And also, he didn't just say it was a great time to buy the stock market. He was talking about his meme stock, DJ. He said, great time to buy DJT, which is the ticker for his stock.
I thought it was like signed Donald J. Trump.
No, I'm pretty sure it was,
there was no cash
him just
tag
shilling
with it,
his.
right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's the ticker for his stock, his meme stock. So
Logan, pull up the tweet.
I also think people read too much into this. Like, obviously, when a single person can move the markets this much, there's plenty of ability for insider trading. But like, this idea that he posted that as like a way of getting out of insider trading because he made it public information before it happened or whatever, I think is probably mostly bullshit. I think he was probably sitting on Fox News and he didn't like that his stock was going down and people were like shitting on it. And he was like, buy the stock. And then when that didn't work, then they went for more drastic measures.
I would find it hard to believe that was the exact order of events that led to, I think.
Well, there's a little bit more nuance to it, but
I would like to think that Scott Bessent was not thinking of GJT stock particularly. I think what happened was,
Trump was when he sent out that post.
I know he was, but I think like the tariff thing, like Tuesday night when yields were going crazy, I would imagine Scott Bessent was like, we need to do something. This is
100%.
This is not going to work. We need to figure something out. So that's the question. It's like the big back and forth. Like, did Trump bend the knee? Is this like an example of the art of the deal and just part of the nature? It's probably a combination of the two.
It's probably both.
And to your point, it doesn't really matter. Like, we live in this high velocity trash economy. And as our friend Michael Goldstein tweeted in February of 2020, the USD has turned the stock market into a normie shitcoin casino. It's like, there's just that hasn't changed.
Yeah, it feels like fucking Luna or Tron or some shit. Yeah. But like, to be clear here, I said last week, like, I think Bessent has a plan, right? Like, the guy's is incredibly experienced. I just, what is the quote? It's like, no plan survives a punch in the face, right? Like, at the end of the day, like,
everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face. Come on, man.
So close.
They're completely in uncharted waters here. Right. And they are 100% watching Fox News, like listening to Jamie Dimon's interview, like weighing all these different things, deciding if Bessent has more ability to act. Like, I'm sure like that dynamic between Trump and Bessent is a crazy fucking dynamic. And I'm also sure that Bessent gives two fucks about DJT stock. But I think people are probably reading into, and also like, would not be surprised if there was a shit ton of insider trading that was done. I just think people are reading too much into that first Truth Social post. I think that was him checking the DJT ticker and being like, please buy my stock. Send tweet.
Okay, I'll give you that.
All caps.
The other thing here, like, talking about these guys are watching Fox News, watching what people said. They watch RHR too. And I think we should take this opportunity to say, hey, Secretary, the Treasury percent, BitBonds. I tweeted this out yesterday. My dark horse bet for this year is that BitBonds get issued. Because when you think about this yield problem that they have, they need to think creatively. And it seems like they are definitely in the mindset of we're going to make bold decisions. Drastic times call for drastic measures, and I would not be surprised if by the end of the year the first BitBonds are issued as an attempt to roll over some of the debt at least at 1%.
Can I make a quick suggestion?
Do you want to bet?
Yeah,
Let's
so
bet. Let's bet.
I was gonna say I think you guys should place a bet every episode.
No, come on.
Dude, that's
I mean, you
expensive.
basically do that already. But it's what like I love listening to your bets. And it's
Well,
like,
we're
yeah,
more or
will we
less-
have
we're
a
more or
bit
less
bond by the end
even.
of the Yeah,
It's
it all
more or
comes
less
out in the
wash
wash
trading.
anyways. So if
Yeah.
it brings in ad revenue, it's a game. It's a net game. So you should bet more.
Dude,
Right.
I'm so glad we have you on the show.
You're
Are,
welcome.
are you going to partake? Are you going to partake in the action this week?
Yeah, if you want. I do not think there will be a bit bond in the year 2024.
All right, I want odds on this one.
Yeah,
I get
no,
odds
no.
on this one.
No, why? You're super confident. Why do you need odds? I should.
It's a
get
dark.
odds.
I said it's a dark horse bet, so I'm putting a low probability on it myself. But like,
Okay, what are your odds?
I want 2-1.
That feels fair.
Okay, so 100K sats, 2-1.
11:59 p.m.
December
59
31st.
seconds, December 31st, East Coast time. The first bit.
And it has to be like the U.S. government is offering it. It's not like Pierre's Bitcoin.
No, it
bond
has to be.
company.
Yeah, it has to be the Treasury.
Which, by the way, congratulations, Pierre, on launching the Bitcoin.
Who's
bond.
betting here? Am I betting or are you betting, Matt?
We can. Let's just both. It'll be Marty. Do you want to take 100,000 from each of us? 2
We're
to 1
gonna
odds?
double
Take
team
100,000, and if I lose, I give you each 50.
Okay, cool.
Wait. So we're splitting our side.
Oh, do you guys want? I mean, I can make 400 from
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Which one do you prefer?
We'll do that. We'll do that.
But then you're losing 200.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, correct. You cool with that?
Yeah, that's why I took the odds. Let's go.
Okay, deal. It's not going to happen this year. No shot in hell that happens this year.
All right.
Thanks for the easy sets.
We'll see. Dark horse bet.
I'm already spending them in my head.
Yeah, I mean, I think cat's out of the bag. We've talked about this in the past. I'm not sure they're going to be able to get that 10-year under control. I don't think they will.
That's my point. Drastic times call for drastic measures.
This is what happened in Mandibles.
It's a crazy time to be alive.
I mean,
It is
who
a
would?
crazy time to be alive. It is.
I mean, it's just. There's so many people with the mandate is the only reason it has even any demand right now. Like, imagine in this current environment, lending the U.S. government money for 10 years and only getting like 4.5% for it. It's fucking ridiculous. It sounds retarded.
Yeah.
When you spell it out that way, it just sounds so fucking retarded.
Well, you know, it's either going to be, and that's the big thing right now. But another headline in the news this week is Trump is sending I guess he's asking for a recommendation from the Supreme Court about whether or not he can fire the Federal Reserve chairman. I think he's going to find out that he can't, and that'll be. I don't know if that's like a tactical move by him too, to really highlight to the American people that the Fed is an independent, private organization, just to really drive home to people. Like, you think the Federal Reserve is part of the government, but it isn't. But it's very clear.
I love that the Supreme Court is like Trump's HR team. They're like,
Yeah.
can I fire this guy? That's great.
Literally.
Well, the craziest part is that he appointed him last term.
Yeah.
Marty, do you want to just briefly explain to the freaks that might not be aware of what BitBonds are, what they are?
So BitBonds are a concept put forth by the Bitcoin Policy Institute a couple of weeks ago in a paper co-written by Andrew Hones, CEO, founder of New Market Capital and Battery Finance, disclaimer 1031 portfolio company, and Matthew Pines from the Bitcoin Policy Institute. And the idea...
Exclusive external investor in Battery.
Yes. And the idea is that looking at this problem where you have to roll over a lot of debt at relatively high rates, which would increase the interest expense on our debt on an annual basis, we need to think creatively and offer something to treasury buyers that is appealing and allows the treasury to offer new debt at lower rates. So the BitBond design, as it was put forth by Andrew and Matt, is essentially you issue $2 trillion worth of 10-year bonds as we're rolling over debt over the next 2 years. So you take a portion of the debt, the $6 trillion that would need to roll over, you take $2 trillion of that and you issue BitBonds. And so you raise $2 trillion in cash for 10-year treasuries, and you take 10% of that $2 trillion to $200 billion, and you buy Bitcoin with it, and hold it within the bond structure. And so by holding Bitcoin in it, the idea is that you can offer that 10-year bond at a 1% rate. And so that chunk of 10 years would have a 1% rate attached to it, so that would lower your interest expense on the debt. And then the idea is that since you have Bitcoin in the bond and it's a 10-year bond, if we believe that Bitcoin is going to go up as it has historically over a 10-year period moving forward, then the value of the Bitcoin sitting in those bonds should go up significantly, and the bond holders would participate in the upside appreciation of the Bitcoin up to a certain point.
And the issuers.
And the issuers. So 50% would go to the buyers of the bond, and then the government would keep 50% of the Bitcoin upside and use that to stack Bitcoin in the strategic Bitcoin reserve. So the idea
is there'd be a budget neutral way of adding Bitcoin to the strategic Bitcoin reserve. It would lower rates for the lender, which is in this case the U.S. government. It would juice returns for the borrower because Bitcoin's designed to pump forever. And the borrower doesn't necessarily have to believe in Bitcoin because they have downside protection and effectively would be guaranteed 1%, even if Bitcoin went to zero. And to be clear here, holding Bitcoin directly in an upside scenario would be strictly better. But there's plenty of people that that's not within their investment mandate, or they don't believe in Bitcoin and would rather participate in something like this.
Yeah, so the comment Jeffy's asking, didn't zap, but is asking, we'll read it. Who are the buyers of these bonds? It's people that want that downside risk protection, people who cannot buy Bitcoin directly but want exposure, as we're seeing with MicroStrategy's convertible bonds. And there was a third that I had top of mind. The governments that need to buy this debt and want the upside of Bitcoin. I think it's a very creative, bold strategy. I would like to see it happen. And if you think about it long term, the whole idea of BitBonds is Andrew gave the presentation at the Bitcoin Policy Institute, Bitcoin for America Symposium, whatever that was called. Saying in this way you can issue cheap debt, bring down the interest expense on the debt, acquire Bitcoin, and over the long term, 30, 40 years, have way more equity on the Treasury's balance sheet than the debt and begin chipping away at the debt. Creative.
Very. Matt, now that you heard that explanation, you're sticking to your bet, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's just no shot it happens in 2024. I do think...
2024 was last year, so it definitely didn't happen then. 2025.
2025,
could happen,
yeah.
Though.
I think Josh said 2024 earlier, but obviously we might.
I think I might have. In which case we already won.
Yeah, that was the easiest bet ever. Good idea, Josh. I do like to me, it seems like there's a window, right, where BitBonds actually makes sense.
Well,
because
it has to happen while we're rolling over all this debt that Janet Yellen.
Well, no, not only that, like it has to happen while capital allocators don't believe in Bitcoin enough that they want the downside protection instead of just buying Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Which is probably a big window. Like, let's be honest, I think there's a lot of merit to the gradually then suddenly meme. But still, like if you actually believe in Bitcoin, you're strictly better just buying Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy the BitBonds because I want all
You
the
know,
upside.
going back to all the changes that Trump is making, like I always wonder which of those changes are sustainable. In other words, like which ones are going to stick? And when a new
What do you
president
mean?
comes in, can he just like turn everything over with executive orders? Like right now, as far as I understand, like a new president came in, he could just undo everything Trump did in a day.
There goes our water pressure.
But if
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, Fortunately, you gave them the washer hack, so that shows that gig is up. But like if we were issuing BitBonds, 10-year BitBonds, like that is at least something that would stick around for a little bit longer.
You're
Could
locked
be a little
in.
bit more of
There-
a legacy, and that could be a reason he would do it. Just be like, here's your legacy. Like you're gonna leave, they're gonna change everything you did. Start
yeah,
issuing BitBonds.
why are we doing 10-year? We should do century Bitbonds.
Yeah.
Matt, Century BitBonds. I think that would be, I don't know if it's BitBonds, but I do think they do want to issue 50 and 100-year bonds at some point too.
Yeah, they should be Bitbonds.
Logan, are we getting
the other
spammed in the
thing-
YouTube chat?
The other thing,
It's
I
a
don't
good
see
sign.
it.
No, I was going to say, pause, business on air. We finally made it. We're getting spammed in the YouTube chat. This is a big development here.
Took us long enough.
The channel's worth being spammed.
And then they spam you.
One day we'll know we made it when they spam the Noster chat. The other thing Andrew mentioned is the government does have a unique advantage if they roll out BitBonds that
Sure.
corporations don't have, which is they can do a bunch of tax incentives too to incentivize average people to buy into them. I mean, if you're thinking about it like for forever, basically, or at least in the modern era, especially retirees and older people that don't want to take a lot of risk, they've been encouraged to go into T-bills and treasuries because of the trust, the quote unquote trust in the U.S. government. This would give them a tax advantaged way of having Bitcoin exposure without much risk, which is a powerful story for the average Joe that might not believe in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Bullish
it's not going to happen in
I'm
2025.
bullish on BitBonds. It's going to happen.
I love these types of bets because if it happens in 2025, what's the price of Bitcoin at that point?
Right. That's going to, well, that's like for me, 400,000 sats is.
Yeah, well,
That's going to be worth like $2,000 when the bet pays out.
I'm
If
not
that-
sending
if
you
that
my whole
happens,
stack.
If that happens and the bet pays out, it's going to be worth like $2,000.
Just you're clearly not thinking in sats, Marty.
That's true. That's true. All right. On to the next topic, which is the Human Rights Foundation story of the week, which is coming from Turkey. The government detains thousands of pro-democracy protesters. The largest protest in over a decade erupted in Istanbul, Turkey, after President Recep Tayyip Erdogan detained political opposition figure and Istanbul mayor Ekrem. We read this one last week. This is the one from last week.
Did we?
Yeah, same exact one.
Oh. Doesn't it say April 9th at the top?
Maybe it's another April 10th. Yeah, it's from today. All right, I'll continue reading. Turks of all walks of life find themselves united in common outrage at the regime's ongoing political regression and tumultuous economic conditions, with inflation soaring above 39%, widespread unemployment among the nation's youth. It's no surprise the Turks are flooding the streets and demanding change. In response to these demonstrations, law enforcement has since detained more than 2,000 demonstrators, and police blockades have met student protesters with water cannon trucks to suppress their dissent. Many young Turks, not the
TV show.
Not the TV show. What's his name? Senk? Not Senk. Many young Turks feel their future is slipping away in a country where
It
saving
doesn't mean
is
young
futile.
Turkish people.
the currency is collapsing and speaking out comes at a high personal cost. This feels like our last chance, one young protester said, adding, if we don't succeed, many of us will have to leave Turkey. For more stories like this, make sure you sign up for the Human Rights Foundation Financial Freedom Report. You can find that at financialfreedomreport.org, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like last week I also took a Turkish story from their newsletter. I mean, I think what's happening over there should not be faded. And, you know, when the stock market's crashing and all this shit's going on, most people just aren't paying attention to it, which is why I subconsciously selected a Turkish story a second time in a row.
Yeah. It's chaos out there. It's chaos out there. China devaluing the yuan.
I think the Ukraine war is still happening. Gaza is still getting leveled. All eyes on tariffs.
Let's get on a Bitcoin standards as quickly as possible. Let's give peace a chance, people.
What about, did you see like Trump posting just the drone video on Truth Social? I don't know when that was. That was at some point during the last.
Was that with the
Did you see that?
Houthi strike in Yemen? Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is sick that.
Crazy
And
timeline.
I think when he did that video too, he made an oopsie because I think he said, "You'll never take down an American ship again." I think at that point, it wasn't known to the public that the Houthis had attacked an American ship, and he sort of acknowledged it in that video.
Did they take one down?
Oh, that's what people. He sent that post and said, "You'll never take down another American ship," and people were like, "Wait, they took down an American ship?"
Trump added America to the signal group.
Crazy.
I got a
times.
clip. Let's play a clip. Logan, let's play this clip because I think this is 2 minutes. Just give me 2 minutes of your time. 2 minutes and 19 seconds.
Before you play the clip, do you remember the RHR where you're chasing squirrels in your backyard?
I do remember that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Ronan brought that up.
I was trying to point to them on the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, play the clip.
What is there that's more important
I
than
saw
your
this.
time and your energy, right? And it's like you could say that like family is more important than money, but what are you doing when you're away from your family? You're trading your time and energy for the stuff that you need to like get by in life. It's a core civilizational technology like fire, and to fuck with the parameters of money, to like mess with the little variables and the ingredients that make it what it is, you're messing with something that's at the base of a really powerful vector. Like little changes down here make the vector swing wildly. Robert Kiyosaki, is that the guy's name? Who's the guy that wears the glasses that he stole from me? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he says gold is God's money. I don't think that that's hyperbole or a fallacious thing to say or something that is like out of pocket saying. I think that using precious metals for money, in particular, the one precious metal that every civilization settled upon using as money, I don't think it's coincidence.
You said something to me that was very interesting. You said Bitcoin isn't something you're going to want to sell. It's something you're going to want to pass down to your kids.
Yeah.
Which that is basically how I look at gold, how I've looked at gold. And now I'm a little more, listen, I dove in head first, so I'm kind of getting into Bitcoin a lot more. But that was a very interesting statement.
I'm starting to ramble, and I would just urge anybody watching this to do the research on Bitcoin and figure out what it is, because it's not going anywhere, and it's going to be the unit of account for the future. If it's not going to change your life materially, it's going to change the lives of your children materially. Put aside the negativity and the anxiety that comes with thinking about money and the surface level Ponzi scheme, get rich quick stuff that is associated with cryptocurrency, and start researching Bitcoin and what it is, because there's still 100x in there.
guys ready for another 100x?
Great clip. I mean, so the guy speaking was Sam Hyde. Whose podcast is that?
Yeah, I think he's got his own, the Sam Hyde show. He started.
So were those his co-hosts?
He's
What a cast of characters.
well.
Those are
That's
his
like,
minions.
yeah, he's got minions. Logan, how would you describe it? I know, and actually, I'm interested to get your thoughts on this because I want to bring it up. I think number one, Sam Hyde's been in Bitcoin for a while. He's been ahead of the curve. I think he's one of the most potent social commentators out there right now, and I think this clip was incredibly beautiful. How he described money and why Bitcoin's important, but more importantly, I think one thing that we don't have is a Gen Z audience, and I think that's one thing many people don't understand is Gen Z loves Sam Hyde, and they look up to, a portion of them do, and they love his view on the world. And I think that explanation of Bitcoin for Gen Z is going to be very potent. Logan,
What's our audience? Our audience is like 30 to 55.
Our core demo is
45
45 to 55. Yeah, white men.
I mean, I'm not super into the Sam Hyde lore myself, but yeah.
Okay. Why are you?
Yeah, what?
What Marty said.
Do you
It's good that he's
follow him on TikTok?
pushing Bitcoin. I have TikTok.
Yeah. I thought that was.
How many followers does Sam Hyde have on TikTok?
I don't know.
Logan,
I'm
look
not
it
on
up.
TikTok.
I don't know if
I
he has
guess-
TikTok. Let me see.
Basically, Josh is our demographic, right?
Yeah. Our core demo is 45 to 55.
The iconic
Gen
ride or
Xers.
die.
Average Bitcoiner.
Yeah.
You remember that? Hey, can I just want to jump in and like make a little point. It just popped into my head. Matt, twice in this episode, you said to Marty that he was out of order. And it felt a little bit like Judge Judy. I feel like you should like make that a thing. It works.
Yeah, I mean, you aged yourself with the Judge Judy reference. I don't think our Gen Z listeners know who Judge Judy is.
Oh, 2%
Judge
of
Judy
you.
is timeless. I won't hear anything. I wouldn't have it any other way. Timeless. I saw her at Katz's Deli once. She's timeless and tiny. She's like 5'1". She's a tiny person.
How old is Gen Z? Like, what's the age range?
Logan was telling me earlier he's the oldest Gen Zer.
I'm the oldest Gen Zer. So however old I
Okay,
am.
so we have plenty of our producers Gen Z.
Yeah, but if you look at the demo stats on the RSS feed and YouTube, 2% of 18 to 25-year-olds is our thing. 18 to 25-year-olds make up 2% of our audience. And then 25 to 30 is like 5%. We're
And
not
the
getting
rest
to
is
the
just old people.
old people. Like the 65, the 55 to 60 demo is larger than the 30 to 35 demo.
Wow.
We're not reaching the youth.
Okay.
What is it? What is it, youngins? Logan, what can we be doing to reach in the youth?
What about if there's no way for us to verify their ages? I was going to give them a reduced shout out threshold. We give them a
We
discount.
need to
for shout outs.
have Subway Surfers underneath every episode.
What's that? See, I don't even see. Logan, we need your help. I have no idea what you just said.
It's a mobile game.
I am out of it.
You could just have them boost with like a picture of their ID next to their face.
No,
Yeah,
don't do
that would be great. Put it on Noster.
If you're in the live chat right now and you're under 30, just
It's gonna
post
be crickets,
post
dude. It's gonna be crickets.
post an F. Yeah, it's
Can I ask you
crickets.
really quickly, like what like I'm in this thing, like I'm seeing a feed, but what live feed are you seeing?
All
The
this,
feed
this
you're
is how we get the Gen
seeing
Z audience. We just have
is-
this up the whole time.
The feed you're seeing is YouTube because that's what Ecamm streams directly in, and then I
Gotcha.
separately have the Noster feed up. There's at least one under 30 person that posted an F in the Noster feed, so we got that going for us.
Things are looking up. Got it.
And it looks like no one in the YouTube chat is under 30. Or they're just not near a keyboard.
Yeah.
I did not ping it yet.
Oh, we got one. Queen says she's
I don't
under
know if
30.
we're just being trolled though. I don't know. Queen's a diehard. I don't know. Could be. Hey, Queen. Thank you for
anyway.
bringing down the average age of the viewership of this podcast. I've always said I'm a boomer in a millennial's body, so it makes sense that.
Look, we got AZ Huddle, nearly 70. Close enough to, we're almost, if you keep going around, you'll get to Gen Z.
Yeah. We may have more silent generation viewers of this podcast than Gen Z.
Which one? Is that like World War One?
Yeah, it's like Joe Biden's age.
Yeah.
And World War II.
Okay, well, I'm proud of all of our listeners, regardless of their age.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us every week.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. With that being said, you brought it up. I almost forgot it. We do have to read the top 4 boost from Rabbit Hole Recap 351. Trump tariffs the world. W2 cuck. So he's working a W2 job, and he has enough to boost us. 150,000 sats. Riddle me this, Batman. How do we get the IRS to accept Bitcoin for tax payments? Bitcoin would have to become legal tender. Would this be something the Bitcoin Policy Institute could work on? Please opine. I think we should abolish the IRS. Just use
support
Bitcoin as
that.
money anyway. Yeah. It all goes away, the capital gains tax and problems that people talk about when they're spending Bitcoin, which we've discussed is a weak sort of argument. It all goes away at the IRS.
Savings tax.
Yeah.
It's capital gains tax is a savings tax. I feel like way more people would be against it if they realized that. We have Dakwad, Gen Z in the Nostra chat. Shout out Dakwad.
Let's go. Go tell your friends about the show. Tell them.
Speaking of Gen Z, my mom just said she subscribed to Sam Hyde's TikTok just now. Mom, get off TikTok.
Wait, does that mean she's listening to the show? That's why?
Oh, Logan's mom's an avid listener.
Oh, shout out Logan's mom.
Not
Appreciate
gonna dox
you.
your last name. Hey, Logan's mom. It's great to see you. Thank you for listening.
I mean,
Not
she's
helping us with the
not
younger
Gen
demo.
Z.
No,
She's not Gen Z, right?
No.
Wait,
Poor
Logan, can you
poor
ask
demo
your mom
there.
how many followers Sam Hyde has on TikTok? Because I've been waiting for the number.
It's like 180K. It looks like.
Oh, that's not that much.
Not on TikTok. TikTok's easy to get.
TikTok is like if you don't
that's
have
even the
like
real
20
Sam Hyde.
million. If you don't have 20 million followers on TikTok, you're nobody.
Yeah.
We need
All right,
like I Show Speed or like one of those guys.
Yeah.
Mr. Beast.
Yeah, we need Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast needs
he
to get
creeps
through
me
the
out.
Gen Zers.
That dude creeps me out.
He figured it out, though. He did figure it out.
Yeah. Are we gonna have to just start like streaming our whole lives? I think the whole Gen Z thing of like just walking around with a camera in your face and walking up to random
It's
people on the
horrible.
street. It's
No, yeah.
I saw one of those man on the street interviews yesterday on the corner here. It was just 6th and Congress in Austin. It was like 2 UT chicks. Like, can I interview you? Like one of the like, what do you do for a living? You look rich. Tell me your story.
But don't you battle with that? Because like we're just less successful versions of that.
No, I think I think we curate an environment where it's not like man on the street gotcha. It's not like we're looking for the next Hawktua girl. I think we curate the guest, the co-host, and the conversations a bit more.
Because I think
horrible news,
anyway,
guys. Dakwad is not Gen Z. He's Gen X. Is Gen X the one above Gen Z?
it's
Is
one
there a
above
Gen
us.
Y? Is Gen Y a thing? Or we just skip that letter?
I don't know.
Gen Y is millennial.
Is that
That's
Gen Y is
us.
millennials?
Yeah, that's us.
We came up with our own name.
Ah, okay. Gen Y is millennial. Okay, that checks
Yeah.
out. Okay, don't you think like any way you swing it, like on the spectrum, like at the opposite end of privacy is convenience, and like just convenience always wins. So like the more convenience wins, the less privacy we're gonna have. Like in order for us to use AI to its full potential, we're just gonna have to let it have all of our information.
It's going to be
You know,
horrible.
like, yeah, but if I'm like, hey, Siri, book me an aisle seat to Florida and a rental car and blah, 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 it needs my bank account, it needs my driver's license, it needs my passport, it needs all that stuff.
This will be juicy.
But
This is in line. So Peter Thiel.
Did you see Mark? Wait a second. Did you see Mark's in the live chat? It's just like he teed him up. Okay, Marks. We know Open Secret and Maple AI have private AI. It still probably will not be as useful.
Well, Marks, to your point, like you need to talk to Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel's been giving a lecture series at University of Austin, which is catty corner to us here at the park, Austin. I'm still getting used to that. You better get used to it. 4-part lecture series. It was last Wednesday, Thursday, and last night and tonight. I made it last Wednesday and last night, and it's really interesting. The whole concept of the lecture series is the Antichrist versus Armageddon. And last night he dove into this concept of, is the Antichrist just this omniscient AI Borg that we're running towards, or is it a tool of the Antichrist? And to your point, Josh, like that was the point he's making. Like there's a threshold we could pass over relatively soon where you really it's hard to have any sense of privacy.
Did you read the AI 2027 fear porn thing?
No.
I saw it posted. I didn't get in there. It's like from Callie.
Well, Callie posted on Nostr today, but it's been circulating for a while.
Okay.
I mean, people should read it. It's relatively short and concise, and it just kind of greases the wheels and like how you can think about some of these things. I think it's probably too aggressive in terms of timeline. So the whole like AI, super intelligence, take over the world, we're all fucked, AI goes rogue theory is based on the idea that you use the current LLMs to train the next generation, to train the next generation, to train the next generation. And at some point, we hit a point where the best AI researchers are actually previous generation LLMs. And that's where it's like hits escape velocity, right? Because at that point, everything just speeds the fuck up. And then meanwhile, we're like in a pitched battle with China because we don't want the Chinese capability to get ahead of the US public-private partnership capability. So people will be more reckless and more aggressive with it. And so this piece kind of goes through a theoretical timeline of what that might look like. But I don't even think you need to go that far to realize that the reality is that people that don't use like the dystopian surveillance versions of all this shit will be at a disadvantage. Like we will just have more difficult lives at an extreme level compared to people that are willing to just like completely plug themselves into the matrix and let these big tech AIs just do everything for them.
I feel like this is the next Mandibles book. Like we need to get Lionel Shriver on this and like.
You should read the 2027 thing.
I mean, it already exists. It's like Minority Report. It's like Minority Report.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, Minority Report's a little bit different, but it's good.
That was Thiel's advice last night. That was like recognizing this, but it's like at some point.
No, this is more like Terminator.
Yeah, but to combat it, you sort of have to like lean in and. Yeah, it's interesting.
I haven't read it yet, but I want to throw Judge Dredd in there just because.
Kibo zapped us 4,444 sats. This podcast is great. My under 30 peers are just clueless. Don't change anything. And yes, he's under the 21,000 sat threshold, but he applied for the Gen Z discount, so we hooked him up.
The Gen Z discount. I love this. Go tell your friends about the show. Logan, do you tell your friends about the show? Does anybody know what you do for work?
It's mostly normies who would like not want to listen to this show.
Okay. Well, we like our normies.
What do you tell people you do?
Yeah, what do you tell people you do?
I'm a video editor.
Oh yeah.
I'm insulted that you don't take more pride in your job, sir.
Depends on how much time they like actually want to spend listening to the weird combination of things I do.
You're a niche internet celebrity.
Yeah, I met one person who recognized me at swing dancing.
Tell this story. This is great. Logan came in. Logan's a swing dancer for anybody who doesn't.
Yeah, that's
I love that.
That's the story. The guy asked me like, "What do you do?" Like, okay, I do editing for a podcast. It's a Bitcoin show, and he's like, "Oh, I listen to some Bitcoin shows." Like, what about TFTC? Yeah,
You're Logan?
That's awesome.
You're the voice
Logan,
of
do you own
TFTC.
a zoot suit?
no.
No. One day. One day. Maybe.
How's that different than a suit?
Yeah, what is his
I think it's
suit?
baggy. I think it's baggy. I don't actually know. I know that that's like a Zoot Suit Riot is like a big swing song from something.
Oh, a zoot suit.
Riot.
Yeah, Zoot Suit. Yeah, Zoot Suit Riot. I think it's
I
like a
thought you
big
just said suit twice.
baggy suit that swing dancers would wear in the 20s.
We'll get Logan one.
I like this return to classical dancing, Logan. Pre-fed dancing.
Crazy. It's a crazy workout, swing dancing.
Logan's very fit. That was weird. Moving on. The boost.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
Trevor Agora, 23,000 sats. Get one free beer if you mention Rabbit Hole Recap at the Beaverton, Oregon Bitcoin meetup. That's Thursday, April 24th at 7 p.m. at Godfather's Pizza. Again, that's Beaverton, Oregon Bitcoin meetup. Mention Rabbit Hole Recap. You're going to get a free beer.
And I'm just going to unilaterally increase that to 2 beers if you're Gen Z.
Yeah, there's 21-year-old Gen Zers.
Yeah. We said under 30, right?
Yeah.
Boom. 2 beers if you're Gen Z.
Trevor, you boosted us twice, so thank you for multiple boosting. Logan, do what you did the other week and just reverse that and read it again. Did you get any comments from that, by the way? At Stimmy, 21,000 sats. I had the pleasure of being in person with Stimmy at BitBlock Boom on Saturday. Marty, it was nice to connect to BitBlock Boom regarding nuclear power plant refurbishment. Were you thinking of Betchel or Westinghouse? Whoever it was, they got work to do. And thank you for sending this boost because I couldn't remember what I was thinking of. And Westinghouse was the one. Thank you, Stimmy. It was great seeing you in person. And
Nice. Thank you for your support.
W2 Cuck, another 21,000 sats, second boost. And it's a public service announcement for you, Matt. Matt, your node is down. All those sats should go to Logan. XOXOXOXO.
My node is down?
Apparently, this was 14 hours ago. So, have you checked your node?
Oof.
Better
God.
check. Is your node running?
What do you use?
Better
You
go
use a
catch it.
custodial. You use a custodial wallet, right?
For Rabbit Hole Recap, I do. I use the Fountain Wallet, but for TFTC, I have a node that's running.
God, what a mental burden.
It's a mental burden. Those were
Well, Logan, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I lost sats for you.
I mean, he's still getting them.
So what did he mean by that?
We should increase Logan's split to cover your split until you fix your node.
I'm gonna fix my node right after the show. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it on air.
Those were top 5 boost over 21,000 sats.
I don't think it's down.
And if anybody tries to game the Gen Z discount, I'm gonna catch on to it.
We're on to you.
Very quick. I know the Gen Z lingo. I'll be able to tell immediately.
Why you need ID? That's what I'm saying.
No, we're not gonna ID. We'll do like a trivia contest, and hopefully they're not feeding it into AI.
Judge Judy trivia.
Yeah, perfect.
You can ask him what skibbity means.
Look, that's fake news. My note is online. I'm looking at it right now.
Somebody's asking, is Westinghouse getting involved in Bitcoin? I just want to make it clear. You don't have the context of the conversation. We were talking about nuclear power plants, and I was thinking of Westinghouse when saying, I believe these companies have a problem when they're refurbing nuclear power plants. There's like this inability to do so because the economic justification isn't there. Bitcoin mining could be a way to create that economic justification. Just to clear that up.
I
On to the
wonder
list.
how many zaps I miss.
I don't know, man. You're leaving sats
I mean,
on the table.
my note is online, so it must have been a liquidity issue. But I have so much liquidity. I have the best liquidity.
Trump just made liquidity
yeah.
easier, you know?
Never taking a cold shower again.
No pressure. No pressure valves on the Lightning channel. That's a new executive order that's coming out. Open the fattest channels. We're gonna have the biggest channels in the world here in the United States. Okay, we're gonna let the sats flow through the channels.
Huge.
Okay, huge channels. You're gonna be able to send 10 million sats through a channel. That's how big our channels are gonna be. Okay, freaks. On to the software update.
Mataru is asking, a good conversation topic would be the best way to set up and run a node. I presume you mean a Lightning node. If you just want to run like a good old-fashioned Bitcoin node, the easiest way is just run Bitcoin Core on your computer. And if you want to use it with hardware wallets or whatnot, you just run Sparrow alongside it, and it can just pick up that Bitcoin Core instance that's running on your laptop. Super easy. If you want to go more complicated, I think Start9 is great. You don't have to buy a node from them if you don't want to. They have pre-builts that are very performant and very easy to use. You literally just plug them in. But you can also just flash an old computer because it's completely open source. So Start9 would allow you to run an Electrum server. You could have it always on, separate of your computer. You can also, your regular computer, and then you could also run a Lightning node on that. I would say number one piece of advice, a lot of FUD out there about number of Lightning channels decreasing. That is mostly because you shouldn't have many Lightning channels. You should just have one or two very large channels, two well-connected nodes. And then last but not least, if you want an always-on node that has really good uptime and really good connectivity, and you don't want to miss boosts because you have a podcast or you're a merchant or something, I really like Voltage. You can just go to voltage.cloud. You pay them monthly. And they make it relatively easy to run a 24/7 node. Boom.
Go test it out. Go try it out, freaks. Speaking of other software to try out, Mempool version 3.2.0 has been released with Stratum jobs, UTXO bubble charts, address poisoning detection, and more.
Massive. Huge shout out to the Mempool team. And so like if you're running as like a Start9 box, you can then run a local version of mempool.space, the open source project, on your box. And then you don't have to trust any outside server or potentially give up any private information. You can just use your own local instance of Mempool, which is badass.
And you can pair that local instance of Mempool with your BTC Pay server. Version 2.1.0 is out with new multi-sig experience, new fee acceleration. You get RBF and child pays for parent, new integrations with Shopify 2.0, ECWID, and Ghost. It's really, I don't want to toot our own horn here, but I believe TFTC, shout out to DJ Seeds, it wasn't me, it was DJ. We were the first to make the Shopify BTC Pay server and the Ghost BTC Pay server integrations open source. And it looks like BTC Pay server is building on those foundations that DJ set many years ago. So very proud of that.
You know that for a fact, or did they just
I know
rewrite it all?
Shopify for sure. And I'm pretty sure Ghost. I know Shopify
Nice.
definitely. Yeah. It's cool
Did
to
you see the video that they released with this?
Yes. It's crazy what you can do with AI now.
Completely different. Like when have you seen an open source project release with that kind of video launch?
It was great seeing Rockstar at BitBlock Boom as well.
The Rockstar multisig where it was just like 100 rock stars.
Mm-hmm.
Can I throw out another node option, Matt? And I'm curious, like, what your thought is on this. It's pretty easy
Yeah.
to set up a node through Luna Node and operate it through BTC Pay server.
Okay.
What do you think about that as a node option for like a general user?
How much do you pay per month?
I'm pretty sure if you do just a pretty bare bones node, you can end up with around $8 or $9 a month. It's pretty good.
Okay. That's really
And
good.
you can pay Luna. You can play Luna Node with Bitcoin.
Yeah, voltage is $25, so more expensive. Probably voltage is easier and has
for
less
sure.
moving pieces.
And they have
But
support.
yeah, there's plenty of people that do Luna, and I've heard good things. I think Luna requires phone number verification, like specifically like non-burner phone number verification. So keep that in mind to tie it to your identity. And voltage, I don't know if they still do this, but when I set up my voltage nodes, it was like literally just email password, scan a Bitcoin invoice. That's that. And it was like very clean setup. Voltage also has like, they have their Surge product that like shows you liquidity and stuff. You can launch Thunder Hub really easily. Like they have all these different little value adds. But yeah, I think if you're on a budget, Luna Node is, or any other VPS is a great option, and just rip it yourself.
Thunder Hub is
And then
on. You can use Thunder Hub through Bitcoin BTC Pay server now, pretty easily.
Oh, that's awesome. And if you're, I think no matter what, like if you're already set up, moving sucks. So like if you find something that works for you, don't go through the trouble of switching.
Yeah.
Yeah, BTC Pins is mentioning in the wrong chat. He's mentioning that he uses Albi Hub with Phoenix D, and he's running that for about $5 a month. The cool part about Phoenix D is basically the daemon version, the command line version of Phoenix, where they provide inbound liquidity for you. So you don't have to constantly deal with inbound liquidity. So the same reason that makes Phoenix Wallet so easy to use is also what's so great about Phoenix D. It's just for your always on, like 24/7 merchant node. Now, obviously the negative, I feel like we glanced over the Phoenix stuff. If for some reason you're one of our new listeners this year and you don't know what Phoenix is, Phoenix to me is the single best mobile wallet for Lightning. It makes it super easy to use for new Bitcoiners. It has a trade-off balance. There's some privacy concerns there, but the main issue is that it's expensive. And their routing fees are quite high if you're a successful merchant. Like 1% adds up pretty quickly. Like if you're sending 1 million sats, that's 11,000 sats. It's 1,000. It's 10,000 sats. Yeah,
10,000. That was a good math. If you're sending 1.1 million, it's 11,000. Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's $10. I mean, since I've only used 100K Bitcoin as the price.
Not quite there yet.
That's a lot. Like you can send on chain for like no money. In this fee environment, that's a lot.
Right now it would cost you going to mempool.space, loading.
Like 200 sats for the average transaction or something.
67 cents per 6 sats per B byte, or 67 sats. Or 67 cents, excuse me. All right, moving along.
What is that saying? Is that the average transaction fee? Well, what is like 2 sats per byte?
22 cents. We introduced you freaks to this wallet, I believe, last month, but Cove Wallet version 0.3.0 has been released with tap signer support. Cool to see. I downloaded it. I haven't played with the wallet too much yet. I gotta experiment with it, but
it's great. It's still in beta. On iOS, it's test flight, but consider downloading and testing it out and providing feedback. All feedback helps.
Check it out. RoboSats version 0.7.6 alpha has been released with coordinator rating over Nostr. Cool to see Nostr being used as a web of trust sort of credit system. What's the word I'm looking for? Reputation system. Excuse me. That's the word I'm looking for.
Verifiable reputations.
And go support No Bullshit Bitcoin while you're at it. And note to our friends at No Bullshit Bitcoin, the update to the website is incredible, not only for the beautiful aesthetics that you've added to the site, but I I think having the donations more front and center and making it like obvious you should donate is going to be good for you guys. It hit me. I was doing some research for the newsletter. We put in some headlines in the newsletter earlier this week. Went to No Bullshit Bitcoin, pulled a couple. Donate button was there. I was like, I haven't donated in a while, and so like it compelled me to be like, hey, I've been using this site and not giving back for a while. I need to donate. So easily donated some sats via their Geyser fund. So props to you for making that more front and center. I think it's going to work out well for you guys. Froster multi-sig and key management for Noster. Talked about this a few weeks ago. Pleb Dev Austin down the hall here at Bitcoin Park Austin. Funny, Austin from Austin, in Austin, building this. So it seems like it's more robust now. Yeah. And this is just a way to shard NSEX so you can have the ability using Froster, so you have the ability to share accounts.
I love that their technical flow document has a Shamir fairy in it that does a little bit of magic. Yeah, no, this is basically, it's multi-sig for Noster. And so if you think about it in your head, you could be running on desktop, you could be running on a cloud server, you could be running on your phone. And two of those three signatures need to sign for you to broadcast. And all that communication can happen through Noster itself, through an encrypted message on Noster.
It's beautiful to see. It's happening. It's happening. Last but not least.
And so then if your phone gets compromised, you can rotate that portion out and be good.
Yeah. Last but not least, a shameless shill for Matt's presentation at the MIT.
Shameless. I spoke at MIT. That's pretty cool.
I liked your opening. I feel I have a bit of imposter syndrome in this room.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. There's no shot in hell I could have got into MIT for college. So.
Why do you say that?
Look, Ma, I got into MIT. My mom actually was watching the live stream. So
you did a great job. You crushed it. How was the conference overall?
I mostly put it there as a reminder to talk about the event. The event was great. It's cool. It's an annual event. It's run by the MIT Bitcoin Club, so it's student run. They've been doing it for many years. This year, HRF worked with them, and it was just super high signal. All the talks were streamed. Most of the talks were streamed, so you can check them out. The YouTube link is in the show notes, but you can check out the other talks that were there. Great group of people, bunch of Bitcoin core devs. I fanboyed over a couple of them, and I don't know. It was cool meeting a bunch of MIT students. Hopefully they'll listen to the show and boost our numbers.
Yeah. Did you? I know you're not on X anymore, but did you see Alex Berg's quote tweet of your presentation?
No, what did you say?
It looks like you need it was an ARC show. It was the chart that you show, like how you pay out the grants via Opensats.
He was in the audience.
You need transaction batching. That's what he said.
No, damn right we do. Yeah. So the topic of my talk was how I think about Opensats and 1031 and their joint roles in funding the ecosystem, and how they're both incredibly necessary and complementary to each other. It was quite short. I like short and sweet. They gave me 30 minutes. I did 15 minutes with 15-minute Q&A because I love Q&A. And so if you find a little time, consider listening to it.
Matt, I want to pause you for a second and give you some love because I know that being involved in both of those projects has put you in a precarious position, to say the least. So, I admire the goal of both of those projects, and I admire you for taking on both of those goals, even if it means pissing some people off. I didn't piss me off, but I know it's a tricky position.
I'm going to co-sign
means a lot coming from you.
Yeah. It's not because no one else is doing it. No one else is doing those things. Like it's awesome. It's great to have you at the head of those. You're not at the head of 1031, but you're the head of the other
Whoa, whoa,
projects.
whoa, whoa.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, you are. You are. I know.
Yeah. No, it's cool. And I think on Opensats, particularly that chart that Alex was quote tweeting, it's powerful in two regards. Number one, you're funding all these developers building out the open source projects on Bitcoin and Nostr, but dog fooding it too. Like that chart is so cool to me, just to see that you're actually like using Bitcoin as a technology to facilitate these batch payments too.
So Gigi had someone made a custom art piece that he has hanging up in his house that is like that transaction graph. I mean, Alex is completely right. Like the current, basically Opensats right now is the equivalent. We've approved in total in our history about like 230 grants. We're like a little bit under 200 in terms of what we're currently paying out monthly. But most of our grants are yearly, paid monthly. And so what does that look like? What that really looks like is a global business that's running on 100% Bitcoin standard, paying out payroll to like 160, 180 employees every month. And there is no tooling for that. There is literally no tooling. We're using spreadsheets. We're asking people for addresses manually. Like it is an organizational nightmare, but still way better than using wires. Like we can't send wires to 40 plus countries every month like that. It's just untenable. It just wouldn't be possible. So we're seeing a lot of the pain points there firsthand, and also a lot of the benefits firsthand. And it's been pretty cool to see.
Yeah. So I'm sure.
Can I ask you a logistical question you may or may not be able to answer?
Yeah. Opensats.org/donate.
If someone has a 1 year grant, at what point in that year do they learn whether or not they get the grant again? Do they have to reapply? Do they give like, I'm sure maybe it's different for everyone.
They have to reapply. Yeah. So we have long-term support grants, which it's for load-bearing people. So like the most fundamental contributors, it's like 20, 30 people are on long-term support grants, and those are committed to on a 2-year basis. So they have 2-year grants, and they have a more streamlined renewal process. They still have to put in a renewal request. But everyone has to put in a renewal request, and also everyone has to put in quarterly reports. So we have 200 outstanding grants. That's 800 quarterly reports we get a year that need to be reviewed.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay. Wild.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing.
But that is one of the biggest concerns we've heard from open source contributors is uncertainty on whether or not they'll continue getting grants. But like, and I respect that. I understand that. But also, like you might be unemployed next year if you're working in the workforce. Like I feel like a lot of people don't have necessarily certainty on whether or not they're going to be getting paid in 3 years, regardless of the open source ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about this past week because I saw some HRF people, and I was just like, if you're coming to the end of your 1 year grant, say you have 2 months left, you're going to reapply. If you don't get it, you're obviously not going to perform well for the last 2 months, I would assume, because you're looking for a new job. So then puts it on Opensats to be like, well, if we don't see that this person has performed for the last year, we're just going to eat the last 2 months of our grant to them in exchange for finding someone who will perform. I don't know. It's a hard decision process. I'm just curious how you guys.
I will say that we've had situations where like quarterly reports come in and it's just like you didn't do anything.
I'm
and
sure.
every time,
I'm sure it happens,
and this probably won't scale, but for better or for worse, right now, every time people have returned money. It's been only a handful of occasions, but they just send back the Bitcoin. Like there's no recourse for us to get the Bitcoin back. They just send it back because at the current
Bitcoiners have
level we're at,
integrity.
yeah,
Bitcoiners have integrity.
most applicants are high integrity, and we have that going for us. But I'm not pretending that will scale. I will say one thing that is really interesting that we do a lot is we will co-grant people that other organizations like an HRF or a Brink or someone is also giving a grant to, which is that's a cool concept.
Not everybody co-grants. Some people don't co-grant.
Yeah, but my point is if you do get a co-grant, let's say you're a Bitcoin core developer, you command a bit of a higher yearly comp, and you have a co-grant, then you're in this unique situation where, God forbid something happens to Opensats or HRF or any of these organizations, you still have a decent amount of funding. And all of a sudden, that now the open source contributor has better quote unquote job security than someone that's working for a company that could just go under.
So to draw a quick parallel, my wife runs, at the risk of doxing my entire life, my wife runs a scholarship foundation, and it's a big part of her thing where like she has all these students apply for their scholarship, and their scholarship is as much about helping them in the process of college as it is about just paying for the education part. So their whole thing is like, if you already have a big scholarship from someone else, it doesn't mean we won't give you a scholarship. Like, we will be supplemental because we think you're going to be a success. Also, if you've already gotten a grant from someone else, like you've gone through their application process and been approved, and if Brink and HRF, like they're not fucking around, so that they've gone through, they proved their metal, and like, not that you guys won't do your own due diligence, but you've got a little bit of a stamp of approval from somebody else, which makes it a little bit easier. And you guys provide a different form of support, I'm sure, than the other donors that are giving money out there to.
Yeah, it's very complimentary.
Yeah, awesome.
We're gonna win.
Win.
Tariffs.
We are winning.
Yields.
Also,
stock market's a casino. We're going to Vegas in a month. It's all noise. Signals here. We've got Bitcoin on our side. Devs are getting funded. People are waking up. Sam Hyde shilling to Gen Z because we can't reach them. It's a full frontal attack. It's happening. It's happening.
I will say at least one of the MIT students listens to Rabbit Hole Recap. You mentioned it.
Hey, shout out to you, sir. Nobody. I was talking to a bunch of UATX students last night, and none of them know. But
you should be there, just handing out flyers in front of the cafeteria.
I'm just going to start doing the man on the street interviews, like just catch them as they're walking.
You should have Logan do it. I feel like that got brushed aside. We really do you not see like the hypocrisy of being like the streamer culture, influencer culture is perverse, but like we're just less successful versions of that?
No, I think it's like it's weird to say the content of the content. Is that the way to put it? I don't know. We were doing it before.
It's just the content.
It's the LLM referencing the other LLM for.
Yeah. I think the quality of the content is important. I like to think that we're adding value here, and we were doing it before streamer culture even became a thing.
But this is what's always happened.
That's how unsuccessful we are.
Before people were podcasting, people were making public radio.
Yeah.
What's the name of that guy, Paul?
I would love to do public radio. Maybe that's the next chapter.
You are next, Rush Limbaugh.
I mean, Matt, you're doing it right now. Like, it's just like,
I guess so.
you're just not. I guess you're not government funded, but.
Or is all public radio government funded? I guess that's what they call it, public radio, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to do public radio then.
That's what I'm saying.
I just think I think radio would be cool, just like to blast it on the airwaves.
You could probably put this on radio somewhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
sure.
or not Riverside.
We should buy a radio station.
What's the thing that we use to do all these streaming things? Should get our RT or RMTP token on ham radio waves. Should be able to
I
do
think
that.
Fountain is basically Bitcoin radio. No,
Let's buy a radio station.
they should make Fountain should just have like a. They might have this already, but they should just have like a Bitcoin podcast, like 24/7 feed, or like you just put it on and like whatever you tune in, whatever you hear, whatever is on for as long as you're listening, and then you turn it off.
Well, the No Agenda guys have that. Their channel's like 24/7.
Oh, that's cool.
But do they have a radio station?
I don't know if they have the radio. I think it's like
When we get the radio station, we'll give Adam a few hours a day.
the radio
that he
station is
can-
a terrible investment. It's dying. Where this is like Josh said.
You don't do it. No, you don't do it for the money. You do it to send a message.
Okay. Over radio waves. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't do it. You do it on principle, Marty. You do it on principle.
We're buying a radio station. It's
There you go.
it's our next that's our next endeavor. Pirate radio.
Awesome.
Can we get a ship and record from a ship?
Why?
If we're gonna get a radio station, I want it to be a pirate radio station where the government's very
That
dangerous.
never. The ship thing never works out.
No.
Oh, we're in international waters. The seasteaders, lots of pain there.
Seasteaders. I've never heard that term before. Seasteader. Makes a lot of sense.
Really?
No, it makes total sense. I get it now. I mean, it's one of those words is like, there's some term for it, like a word you've never heard, but when you hear it, it makes total sense.
Yeah. I mean, that was a big, like,
Yeah,
Peter.
very
like,
descriptive.
there was like a section of Silicon Valley like a decade ago that was like, we're going to seastead. We're going to start our own libertarian community out in the sea. Never really.
Always ends bad.
Never connected
Always
with
ends
me.
bad.
Why would you want to live in the middle of the ocean? Sounds terrible.
I think it kind of connects. I'm not against it. It just always ends bad.
Yeah. All right. You know what's not going to end bad? This show. This was great. I had a bunch of fun with you two today. It's gonna be
Yeah,
great.
this was awesome. Thank you guys for letting me crash your party.
Josh, thanks for joining.
Yeah,
We
love you
appreciate
guys.
you.
To everybody
Feeling is
listening,
mutual.
to all of you old people listening to the show, thank you for joining too. And to the few of you young people out there, go tell your friends. Go tell
We
your
love you
friends.
all, regardless of age, and you should tell your friends, regardless of your age and their age.
Maybe
Josh,
that's our-
what is your beefsteak website? Do you have a beefsteak website?
There's not really a beef. Here's what Here's what I was going to say. I was going to say this earlier. I think there's not really a website. It's really just a holding page. I think that
I just tried to go to beefsteak.com and it's a malicious website, so don't go there.
yeah.
I think Marty just went to a porn site.
I think Unchained.
So,
I think Unchained's firewall was just like, no, you can't go to this website. So it might be a porn site.
I've been sort of crafting this message over time. I don't know really the best way to say it, but I guess like if you're listening to this podcast or watching this podcast, this broadcast podcast, is that this broadcast?
It's a show.
Then if you're not on Noster, I think being on Noster will greatly increase your chances of going to beefsteaks moving forward. So
Nice.
it's just like a little bit of an incentive to get over there because I think that's where the news is going to be. I don't think it's going to be on Twitter.
It's also going to get you on Rabbit Hole Recap. Case in point, Josh. You can follow him at primal.net/Awayslice. Oh, Marty, I have an idea. What? Yeah, go on.
Yeah. No, I was going to say if you're Gen Z, it's a great place to meet women.
Yeah. Oh,
Get on there. They're smitten
Older
over
women.
there. Hey, you young Gen Zers looking for your wife. She's on Noster somewhere.
we
She's
should
smitten.
try and can we bring on a Gen Z ride or die freak next week?
If we can
you
find
should.
one. If we
Really
can find
should.
one, yes, I would love to.
How do we screen? Should we have Logan pick someone? Or
Yeah, Logan. This is your generation.
Logan,
you
do you
know how to
hang out
speak
with
the
young
lingo.
people?
Yeah, dude,
Maybe
that's
he
a
can
good
meet
question.
somebody
Logan.
at Zoot Suit party.
Yeah, that person was like 50 years old.
Oh,
kidding.
Hey, if you're Gen Z, and you want to come on the show next week, reach out on Primal, and we'll bring you on.
Hit Logan up on Primal, and he'll be our screener. Matt and I can't speak Gen Z. Logan may be able to.
And like, just keep in mind, like, as soon as you join the stream, like, it will probably be pretty obvious to us if you're lying.
Yeah, and we'll put that
because
that
of your
game thing
ID.
on. If we need to like drag you in with having the game play at the bottom left hand corner of the screen the whole time, we'll do it. We'll
I think
Gen Z.
if we bring on a Gen Z ride or die freak every week till the end of the year, then that means we'll have like at least like 30 Gen Z listeners by the end. Because who comes on the show and then doesn't listen to it afterwards, right?
Dozens.
Perfect.
All right, Gen Z, we're coming for you.
I also want to have Stephen Oak on. He says he's 76. I feel like that'd be a fun show. Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah.
Don't dox your age in the live chat. Anyway, Josh, final thoughts?
I was practicing variations on the sound that Marty makes at the end of the show. I was going to just try a couple of them out. I was going to do this like,
let's hear it.
Go for it.
Kapow! Kapow! Or you could say, pickety! Pickety! I don't know. It felt like a good variation.
I've told the genesis story of that noise on this show before, haven't I?
Yes, it's when you wanted to smoke weed at like Thanksgiving Day at family events.
Yeah, the cousins just gonna meet outside.
It was their.
I'm sure your parents didn't notice.
Oh yeah, they were like, "Look at these idiots going out back."
They were already stoned.
Yeah, they don't know we took their bowl already. Take it in, get it out.
Good times, y'all. Thank you for having me. I love you both. This is awesome.
Love you, brother. Love you, freaks. Stay humble, stack sets.
Peace and love.